Are you too busy? Too stressed out? Unhealthy? Then this is the place for you. Welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals, where we help you create wellness and balance with a holistic approach that will work for you, even with the busiest of schedules, so you can live the life you want. And now, here's your host, Diane Randall.
Hello and welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals. I'm your host, Diane Randall. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to choose clothes and accessories within the context of who you are, what matters most to you, and having a closet that supports you to look and feel your best every single day. My awesome guest is Kathleen Audet. She has been in the fashion and image industry for more than 20 years. Kathleen works with clients virtually all around the world. Her work encourages men and women to find their potential and create a powerful personal appearance by finding their authentic image and essentializing their wardrobe. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Diane. How are you?
I am awesome. Welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals. This is an awesome, interesting topic because I never think about my clothes. I know I want to look nice, but I'm so busy. I don't want to spend time in the store. And when I hear clothes and looking nice and image, I think of labels and money, but this is a different kind of conversation that we're about to have.
Yes, I really think that getting dressed is something that you do need to spend time on, but once you figure it out, your life is very streamlined and cost effective, and you end up saving time and money, which is a great thing, right?
It's always a great thing. I like to look nice, but I don't want to spend a lot of time in the store. As a matter of fact, I want to spend less and less time in the store, but I want to look nice, but I'm not a big shopper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that once you have paid some attention to just a few key areas about who you are and how you want to present yourself to the world, then it's a lot easier. And I like to think about when you go into a store, hunting versus shopping. So you're hunting for specific things you need and not shopping, which is sometimes a confusing and frustrating thing for people, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I get that.
So you talk about dressing from the inside out. So much of our outer world experience is driven by what we wear. How do you get men and women to look inward and make a decision from the inside out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really try and promote to people that your image is something that people are going to see whether you want them to or not. Like you're giving a message to people whether you have opened your mouth or not. And do you know what that message is? Because your clothes have a nonverbal communication to the world that they're speaking even if you're not. And so the key is to be able to connect who you are with those nonverbal messages of your clothes and have them be congruent, the same. So if you're thinking about you're somebody who is, let's say, very extroverted and you are, a leader in your industry and you're wearing all gray and black and sort of clothes that don't fit, there's a little bit of incongruency there, right? Because we would see you more as a leader, but your clothes are saying, I want to hide. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Talk more about that. Let's say I come to you and I ask you, who am I and why do I matter?
Yeah, two great questions, right? Well, I'm actually going to ask you quite a few questions before we get started.
Okay.
And we actually have probably 6 or 7 hours together before we ever go into your closet. So I'm really working with you in a lot of different areas. Personal style, so who you are on the inside. We come up with 4 or 5 words that resonate with you at a deep level, and then we learn how to translate those into the design elements in the clothes. I work a lot with color because that's the most demanding element of design, and we remember people by color a lot faster than we might remember their names. And then fit. I'm really big on if things fit well, it doesn't matter what size you are, or if you've gained a little weight, or you're trying to lose weight, or you've lost too much weight. It's really about, do your clothes fit the body you have today? And so we spend quite a bit of time on that. Then we go in your closet, see what you have, do some organizing, and only then do we go shopping. So it's quite a process of starting from the inside and then going to the outside.
Wow, this is really looking at your wardrobe in a deeper way.
Right. Because it's one thing to just walk into someone's closet and be able to style outfits. There are people that can do that, and I can do that. But I would rather empower you to be able to do it for yourself on a daily basis for the rest of your life than to have you, hiring a stylist or someone like that for years and years to come, or just trying to look in magazines or what's on TV or what's current on the trends. That's sort of an external view of image, and that's fine, and you can pull some of that in, but I really think what matters is figuring out who you are on the inside. Like you said, who am I? Why do I matter? What am I here for? Thinking about the deeper questions and then bringing in the clothes to match that.
You talked about labels. That was the only thing I knew was what we do externally. We see someone, we say, oh, that's a nice outfit. It's all externally driven. I mean, even the Oscars were on the other night, and I was glancing at it, and lady said, oh, your dress is beautiful. Who are you wearing?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I love that you work with people from the inside out. So how can you be seen for who you are and not just for the outfit or the label? When you say, I've worked with you, I've dressed from the inside out. So how does that manifest externally?
Okay, that's a great question. I really think that the biggest way that it manifests for people is a confidence and an ease. So when I say confidence, I'm talking about the idea that you are getting dressed and getting out into the world, and you're not thinking about what you're wearing. You're not going by a mirror and glancing at it and kind of going, what did I put on today, or why did I wear that? You're actually, it's like a healthy self-forgetting. You are dressed, you're confident in what you're wearing, you figured it out, and you can go out into the world and serve people and be in the world as yourself without having to think about, what am I wearing today? And does it look right? Is it appropriate? Am I dressed for this business meeting correctly? Or, am I dressed for this event? Or even just what I find a lot of people do is they won't go to something because they don't have the right clothes or what they think are the right clothes. And that's even sadder for me.
I can so relate to, hearing people say from time to time, I didn't have anything to wear, so I didn't go to the party, or I didn't go to the work event, or I don't like the way I look in my clothes. So I hear you when you say you help people from the inside out to get that confidence. And then it's a non-issue because you're not looking at what you're wearing. You're not looking in the mirror, judging yourself, because that's exactly what's happening about how you look. So talk about essentializing.
Sure. I have that word in my vocabulary, and I use it with my clients because I think the idea is that the idea is critical to finding a wardrobe you love. And the reason I say that is because we need to find what's essential to our image, and that means that we're going to have to pare down. The average person only wears about 20 to 25% of what they own. And so that other, 75, 80%, may need to go. And the way that you can do that is by figuring out only what you love and think is beautiful and looks good on you. And that process is, of course, it's harder than it maybe it's harder to do than it is to say, of course. But the idea is that you're going to have to go through what I call this narrow gate in order to come out onto the other side with a bigger view of how you look and how to get dressed. And the only way to do that I know of, that I've been in the field that I've been working in for so long, is that you must pare down and essentialize to only those items that you love, that fit well, that's your style, your color, and then you can actually find a way in the morning to get dressed really easily.
Wow, I love that idea of walking into my closet and actually finding something to wear instead of ruffling through everything to figure out what can I wear today. I love that idea. Actually, when you said that, I felt lighter.
Really?
It made me feel lighter at the thought of walking into my closet and knowing what I have and loving my clothes, the beautiful colors, the different outfits, and not having so many that I can't make a decision.
Right. And the beauty of that is that it's not just about minimizing or having everything perfect or in order, because I think that essentializing is about being able to get messy for a little bit. Like when I go into people's closets and I'm going to work with my clients, the very first time we're in the closet, I really mess things up. I mean, we have stuff all over the place because we're taking things out and we're looking at them. We're trying things on. We're talking about it. And by the time I'm done, things are all over the place. And I tell them before I get there, we're going to make things messy in order to essentialize them down to just what you need. And you need to be able to handle that sort of messy stage. And I think sometimes women in particular can be sort of afraid of that. You know, they like to have a little bit of that perfectionistic thing. I know I do. And we don't want to go to that place, but it's a really good place to go to, because then you can get that feeling you're talking about where it's clear, you can see everything, you can actually pull pieces together you never even knew might go together because you probably couldn't see them, right?
Right. So how is it with men when you work with men? Mm-hmm. Is it a different experience?
In some ways, yes. And in other ways, not at all. Most of the time they have less clothes in general, but they have the same challenges. So they're still only wearing maybe 20 to 30% of their clothes. They don't know what good fit looks like. They have generally not a good idea of what colors look good on them. They're usually wearing something their wife told them or someone at work told them looks good on them, but they don't have a good sense of what's right for them, which is the main problem with women too. So men are fun because they have less things to think about, right? We have a lot more. We have a lot more accessories, right? It's an apples to oranges comparison in some ways. You know, men have pants, shirts, suits, shoes, belts, maybe a tie clip, maybe a pocket scarf, a tie, something like that. But if you're going to start with the women, it's a whole lot more.
Let's shift the conversation to the workplace. How do you get past the stigma in the workplace of dressing like everyone else? So the business casual look. How does one set themselves apart? I hear you when you work with people. If we look at our own unique style and who we are, that would definitely set us apart. If we went with who we were, we would be different. Mm-hmm. So with business casual in the workplace, so how would you keep from confusing comfortable with casual?
Great question. My theory is that all of your clothes should be comfortable in 2017 because we have the fabrics for that to happen. right? We have fabrics that are movable, pliable, breathable, and can give you ease over the body. I think where the challenge comes in is that we're not quite sure what casual means, because that term business casual, which has been around for about 20, 25 years, has sort of disrupted the business world and how to dress. And in some ways that's good, because it's brought in new designers, new fashion, new ways of dressing, more fabrics, better fabrics. And then in other ways, it makes it hard to know what to wear. And so when I'm doing like dress codes for businesses, it's taking me a whole lot longer than it used to do that process. But it's also what I'm having to talk to them about is, listen, if I'm talking to a company or a group of people, the idea is that if you are a person that, say, loves to dress up, or you just dress up more than the average person, or you like coming to work, say, in a dress or a skirt, and that's who you are, then that's great. That's what you should be doing. And instead of saying, when people say, "Oh, you're so dressed up," you need to be saying, "Yes, this is who I am." And so it goes back to that authenticity and being able to say, "I'm going to dress as authentically as I can, or as who I am." And if your authenticity involves wearing pajamas 24/7, then your best bet is probably to have a job at home and not in the workforce. But that's all, we're getting into another place there. But really thinking about, if I'm going to be in a job where I need to dress up, what are the parameters for me? What does that look like? And then what are my company's standards? Because it is confusing. I mean, I'm doing stuff for the court system right now, and they're having trouble with people going into the courtrooms, what they're wearing, and the judges are not happy and the law clerks are not happy. And so we're having to write a lot of dress code rules that are going to make a few people unhappy for a little bit. And then I think that dressing up in general, they're going to actually feel better. And that's a long answer to your question, isn't it, Diane?
Oh, it's the answer to my question.
Oh, okay. I'm like, okay, I guess a lot.
So how can you arrange your closet so that you are the artist?
Yeah, so you do want to be in control of your closet, and you do want to be the one designing your outfits. And I think the easiest thing to do is to, first of all, divide up your clothes. So pants all together, shirts all together, coats all together, blazers all together, shoes together, and really remove everything else in your closet that doesn't have to do with your wardrobe. That's essentializing in a way, but it also allows you to see what you have. And I like to tell people to arrange it in sort of like a 3-point process, where it's sort of like it is in your kitchen with your stove and your refrigerator and your sink, so that you can easily pull pieces together and see if they go together and create outfits. That's a whole process I go through, but that's the basic idea. And I really think that it's important for people to think about this space. Your closet is very, very personal, and it belongs to you. And it's a place where you create who you are and who you want to show to the world. And so you really need to treat it as a sort of a sacred space, and really think about, do I want to have my last 5 years' taxes in here? Do I want to have the blankets from my children's bed in here? Do I want to have my shoes that I haven't worn in 20 years in here, things like that, just so that you can realize this is my space and this is who I am, and it's a space that should be beautiful and feel good.
I love that. I love that idea. You have me wanting to get started right away, changing up my wardrobe. So how do you use your clothes as a resource?
I think it's a thinking process. Really, your clothes should work just like your house does, or your car, your money. Those are resources that help you live and thrive in the world. And so thinking about your clothes, particularly when you go to buy something, thinking about, will this piece go with 2 other things in my closet? Is this something that is in line with my values? is this something that I can afford? Is this something that's going to cost me money to get it dry cleaned, so I don't want to spend that extra money? But thinking about your clothing as something that's going to serve you rather than you just buying it emotionally. Like most people shop by event. So if you have an event, they go shopping. And then your clothes sometimes hang in the closet with tags on them. And that's not serving you, right? That's not a resource. That's a liability.
And I can tell you that's how I shop.
Yeah, most people do.
At least in the last 5 years, I can tell you I've bought at least 4 or 5 dresses and I worn them once. Mm-hmm. And it was for an event. So I love the idea of just looking at who I am and finding pieces that support me in a way that I can serve my best look.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it really is, putting thought into something that is important, and yet it's something that overwhelms us. So we put it aside until it bugs us, which is usually every morning. And then we kind of have to face it. We're thinking about it, but, it's only a small part of our day. And I have a client that we shopped a couple of weeks ago. We've been working together for about a year, and we were only going in there to buy a small 8-piece wardrobe for her to go on a cruise. And we ended up with about 15 or 20 pieces. We were in and out in 2 hours. We had all the colors right. We had all of the shoes, the tops, everything she needed, bathing suit bought and paid for in 2 hours because we'd been working together that amount of time and because she knew who she was, what she wanted and what she didn't want. And so it was quick and easy. So think about all the time and money, you save if you can do that. If you can just get things done quickly and not have a whole bunch of stuff in your closet with the tags on, which is how, it happens to me sometimes, but I love returning things, I'm all for bringing them home and trying them on again, but I just don't want anything in there that I'm not going to love and wear. And I hate when things are sitting in there that I can't use.
What if I don't know who I am? What if I don't have a clue? I mean, how would you support me in a way where we could arrive at an answer without spending 6 months together? Or do you spend 6 months with people?
Yeah. The minimum amount of time I spend with somebody is about 3 months. Let me answer that in 2 different ways.
Okay.
So in May, I'm actually going to launch a course that's an online course. It's going to be reasonably priced, and it's going to run 8 weeks. It's the basis of everything I do, and it's going to be awesome. So if you just get on my newsletter list, I'm going to be promoting that starting in April. And this is only the second time I've done it. And the first time went great. It was a year and a half ago. And I revamped everything because I get this question a lot. And the thing that you can do if you have no idea where to start, I do have a lot of free stuff on my website and on my Pinterest boards and on my blogs. But I think one of the best places to start is color. So you could start your answer there if you want. I think the best place to start is color. And I think that it's great to be able to pull 2 or 3 colors out of your eyes and your hair and your lip color and work with maybe 4 or 5 or 6 colors and try and go to the store and find those colors and put them on and wear them. Even if it's just around the store and you're going and looking in the mirror, I find that if women will just change up the colors they're wearing a little bit, they're going to start to see a difference in how they look. And it sparks a little bit of creativity that they're ready to go to the next step, which is maybe to find something that fits really well. And I don't mean go out in the store and look for it. I mean go into your closet and find something that fits well and put it on and look at it and figure out, why does this fit well? What is it about this that is making this piece fit me well? And the 2 places you always want to watch are the shoulder line, because if it fits there, it's probably going to fit well, and the rise, which otherwise known as the crotch. If it's a pair of pants, if it fits well there, generally the rest of the pant falls well. So those two places, color and fit, I think is a great place to start.
And is this the same advice you have for the men?
Yes, absolutely. Fit probably before color, because I find that I'd say 90+% of the men I work with don't know what good fit looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. They really need to figure that out. And there's a lot of resources for that. And I'm just starting to write more about that since I started carrying a men's line of clothing, and I do virtual fittings. So that's something to think about. But I'm going to start writing more about that and putting more information out about that.
Okay. And in closing our conversation, Kathleen, is there one thing you'd like to share with the listeners or should I say, what advice would you give our listeners who are wondering what can they do right away to get started on creating a wardrobe from the inside out?
I wrote in my blog about essentializing, and it takes you through the process of figuring out what you love and don't love about your wardrobe and vicariously about yourself. And it's on my blog, and it'll say part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 of the series on essentializing. And that's really just a lot of the thought process that I take people through when we're working together. And that's where everything starts, is with your thought process of just recognizing that there's something about my wardrobe that I don't like and that's frustrating. And so I have a little fire under my feet, and I'm going to do something about it. And that's kind of where I start with that article.
Okay. And all of Kathleen's information, her website and her blog will be listed in the show notes of this episode. So if you're interested in getting more information about how you can essentialize and change your wardrobe from the inside out. Kathleen, thank you for talking to us today about how to dress from the inside out, what it means to have personal style in a deeper way. I know I've learned a lot from you today.
Thank you, Diane. It's great to be with you. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
It's been awesome. And I want you, the listener, to tell us what you think about this episode by visiting iTunes, clicking on Balanced Living for Busy Professionals Review, and leaving a review on iTunes. I want to know what you think. And if you found this information of value from this episode of Balanced Living for Busy Professionals, I want you to find 2 people in your life to share it with. Take their phones, computer, iPod, whatever digital device they may have, and show them how to subscribe to the Balanced Living for Busy Professionals podcast. We're now on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and TuneIn apps. I'm so excited about that. We're growing, and it's just really great to know that this show is supporting people in creating the life that they truly love, sharing information, tips, and strategies to help you create the life you truly want. And this show definitely reflects what my intention is for the show. I want you to leave your comments, your voicemail on the podcast page. Be a part of the Balanced Living for Busy Professionals community. If there are topics that you wish to hear about, let us know so that we can talk about the topics that you want to hear. I want to thank you for listening to today's episode.
Thank you for listening to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals. This podcast is sponsored by DianeRandallConsults.com. If you like this show, the best way to support it is by leaving 5-star feedback on iTunes. And please feel free to email your questions, comments, and suggestions to feedback@DianeRandallConsults.com. Until next week, namaste.